you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Good morning, best friend. Good morning to our Set to Love peeps. We're so excited to be here this morning and talk to you. Eva and I were talking just yesterday about a few things, and we came up with the idea. You are the story you tell yourself. And whether that's, you're a victim or you're powerful or whatever, it affects so much of your life. And when we were talking about how far we've come over the last couple years, we thought, you know what, maybe this would be a really good thing to talk about. So I don't feel like we're really victims anymore. We've grown so much that I think it's really cool to be able to feel that freedom of, taking our part. And anyway, you want to start us off this morning with?
Yeah, I would love to. So I was thinking about this, Shelley and I have really been thinking about how can we continue to serve our community, how best can we show up? I mean, yes, we're doing the podcast and we have some people that we coach one-on-one on the side. And we've been thinking about, we used to do a women's group. We had like 2 years ago, we had this women's group that we ran, and it was really powerful. And so we were thinking about, well, what can we do now? What can we help women with now? And one of the things that we're both well-versed in, I guess, is divorce, and going through a divorce, but not just going through it, but going through it and really becoming a better person on the other side and having a positive relationship with your kiddo's dad. So for those people who do need to co-parent down the road, it was like, that was my goal. Like, how can I have a decent co-parenting relationship? And when you first go through something like this, like any kind of big trauma in your life, for us particularly, Shelley's and my divorce were years apart, but still she went through it first and then was able to be there and help me through it. And it's so interesting when you first go through some kind of trauma like that, because the story that you're telling yourself about the situation is what starts to manifest itself in your life. And so even when I was writing this chapter in the book, and this isn't in the book that's out now, this is going to be in one of the future versions, but it's interesting. The first time I wrote the divorce story, right? It was like, I was the victim and he did everything wrong. And I did nothing. I did everything like I was supposed to. And, whatever, which is a bunch of hogwash, to be completely honest. But it's so hard to really be truthful with ourselves and to just be real and own our part. Like you always say, own your part. And so as time went on, and as I started to really dive into this world of personal development and who am I and what am I here to contribute in this world, and what kind of a relationship do I want to have with Chad, and what kind of a relationship do I want our kids to see us have together. And those are all choices. And it all starts with the story that you're telling yourself about your situation. And I mean, it got me thinking to even just my parents and choices that they had made, and my grandparents, and like the lineage of it all. And when you can really let all of that go and realize that whatever story you're telling yourself today is the perception or the glasses that you're putting on to see the world, it really makes such a difference. And so for me to be able to take off that victimhood, that like this happened to me and oh, he's a bad person and I'm a good person, like that's just such bogus hogwash and not true at all. We were both doing the best we could with a situation at hand. We had our individual journeys to be on, and it was really a process to get to that point, to realize that the story that I was telling myself was not serving me, and it was not serving our kids, and it was not serving my relationship with Chad moving forward, and coming up with something that was cohesive and sound and loving, you know, and supportive. And so I do think it's really important, the stories that we tell ourselves about our lives, and that we try to find the good and try to look for the positive, because it just makes life so much better to be lived in. You know, living this way makes life better, I think.
Well, I mean, I think some people might say, well, you don't have my same situation. My guy is this or he's that.
Yeah.
And so, we want people to understand that it wasn't all easy. And, you have to go through how you feel about their girlfriend. When that happens, you have to go through things that aren't fair. There's a lot of things. I mean, I remember feeling I had to catch myself being a martyr, like poor me. And you know what, when you can grow from that, and the thing is you can't change another person. You can only work on yourself and make yourself better. So for me with this, what story was I telling myself? I was really sad, and I didn't want to be sad anymore. I wanted to be there for my kids. So I kind of put blinders on, and I just looked straight forward, and I didn't want to look at the past, and I didn't really want to look at the future. I just wanted to go with do what is right and what's going to benefit my kids. And I think the motivation to be able to let some of that stuff go.
But how do you, well, let me ask you this then, Shelley, how did you let stuff go if you're not dealing with it, like if you're not looking at it and like making peace and forgiveness with it, and you're only looking forward, then how do you deal with it? Are you just saying for a while you were looking forward until you could look back?
Thank you for let me clarify that.
Okay.
I mean, at the beginning, you cry a lot, you're the victim. But then as time goes on, I mean, I remember Wednesday nights when my kids were gone, I would go to the bookstore. And I remember, sitting on the floor, and sometimes I'd be at the bookstore and I'd just start to cry because I felt so alone. And where are my, what are my kids doing? And I can't tuck them in, and just feeling really bad. And then thinking, why wasn't I good enough? Was I not thin enough or pretty enough? And you know what? That is just all, I realized that all that negativity and trying to figure out, what I could have done different, I decided to take my energy and put it into my kids. And as I had those moments of doubt about myself or anger with my ex-husband, as time went on, I started to heal. And so things looked different. So for me, my survival was, okay, my motivation is going to be, I don't want to meet at a police station like you hear about people, having all these conflicts and what that does to your children. So for me, I knew the only thing I could do was be a really good mom. And I knew they needed their dad. I can't be a dad. So there's where my blinders went on. I didn't include my kids on disagreements maybe we had, or let them know what happened in our marriage. It was just better to just stay in the common goal was our kids. So for me, I mean, that got me, and it takes years. I mean, there's so many things where you just have days and the firsts of different things, with your kids, and having to share them with, your ex's significant other when that's not their mom, but for me, I would tell my kids, it's okay to love her, because that's one more person to love you. Was it hard at times? Did I have a little bit of, I don't know, jealousy, whatever you wanted, pride, whatever it is, that's not their mom. Yes, but you work through it and you become a better person, and you can see, that it's so much different than, I guess, staying in that conflict, and I think about even my current husband's ex-wife, Claudia. She is really a good friend of mine. And in my heart now, it feels so good to just, when we can have our families brought together, and it really is a celebration, and we've celebrated our birthdays together. And she's really, truly somebody that is important to me. But I'm sure it wasn't always like that for either one of us. But as we started sharing our lives and being open to bringing our children in the mix, it built a trust and a love for one another. And so it is possible. That's what I hope people hear from us today is, yes, it may, look really bleak right now, but through the process, if you start opening your heart to wanting your life to be better and to heal from the pain, I know that it's there, and some people, have a really bad situation. But that's what we're here for, is to try and help people to just see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have a good life now. My current husband and my ex-husband get along. We can have meals together, holidays together. And that's so nice compared to not. I mean,
right. And not everyone's going to get there. I mean, unfortunately, it's just the state of human evolution, and where you are and where your ex-husband or whoever, soon to be, it is at in their consciousness journey. Like I remember my therapist saying to me, one of you needs to show up. Like, who's going to be the one to show up? Who's going to be the one to take the high road? And I just knew, looking at the situation, that it was going to have to be me, because his road was a lot more challenging than mine was, with the situation and the things that he was dealing with. And so I knew that his journey was going to be one that I was grateful I didn't have to go down. And I thought, okay, if I can just be loving and supportive, even though I was the one who chose to leave. I mean, for you, Shelley, it's a little bit different, because you would have stayed. You wanted it to work out, and that's what Chad wanted. Chad wanted it to work out. He wanted me to stay, and I was the one who chose not to. And so because of that, I felt like I needed to have that increased amount of compassion and love. And when he would come at me with anger, or that crazy town behavior, as I call it, like the mean comments or the things that he would say, I just said, he's hurting. He's really, really hurting. He's in a really dark place. Just hold the highest ground, hold the most amount of love that you can. And when I shifted my perspective of, woe is me, this is happening, this whole dream, this whole life that I had envisioned for myself is no longer going to be, once I could just let the pity party go, especially because it was my choice, then I could really sit back and just say, how can I hold space for him and me and the kids? And that would be my goal. Every single day, with every situation. And I wasn't always good at it. Sometimes, those hooks come in and they dig deep, and you want to be in that sad place. And sometimes you just need to go through that. You need to experience those really dark lows, because it really makes you appreciate the highs. And even when we were in it, there were times when I was like, this is how bonkers it got for me. I was looking up how to detether your souls together. I felt like I don't want to go through this ever again with him, and I don't want another lifetime of this. And I was going down these crazy rabbit holes, just to figure out how to not be tied to this person, because it felt so toxic and so bad. And then at the end of the day, I just kept saying, this is not who he is. I know deep down every single human is light and love, and they just have had so many circumstances in their life that have caused that light to be clouded by experiences, by sadness, by whatever darkness is out there. And if I can just believe and hold on to the fact that he still is that light deep inside, no matter what he says, no matter how he treats me, and I treat him with respect and love to the best of my ability, then he will one day show up as that person that I know he really is inside. And that's exactly what happened. When I stopped treating him like he was the villain and the bad guy, he no longer became that person to me anymore. And now he was someone who was just hurting and needed love and support. And that wasn't me. I wasn't there to hold his hand and do it with him, but I set my boundaries. And I didn't use the kids as pawns, and I did the best that I could given the situation. And I think for you, you did the same thing. And when we can really look at the people in our lives and look at ourselves and know that we are truly love and we are truly light and we are truly here to make a difference. And when we're not doing that, it's just pain and trauma has gotten in the way and has really clouded our ability to see each other as pure love and light. And so when we can do what we need to do to push that away or hold space until that light can come back out, it just makes life so much easier and better and more, with more flow. That's what it felt like for me. I had more flow and I could handle the situations when I saw him as a beautiful whole person just dealing with something really challenging.
That's great. And I think too, when you can like the both of us, I look at my life now and I feel like I'm so suited with my current husband. I mean,
Right.
Bob is amazing, and he's, he builds me up. He's my partner, and I'm just really grateful. And, it wasn't Scott's fault that he fell out of love for me. I think he loved me for being the mother that I was, but something changed for him. And that's not a life sentence, and yes, there were things in between that weren't so great, but at the same time, it's not a life sentence. Better to try to work through it. And that's when the last part I want to say before we close is that give yourself the time to heal. Try not to jump into another relationship and have that deal with, I was single for a long time. I raised my girls, of course, with Scott, we co-parented together, but all in all, I was a single mom for 10 years. And maybe you don't have to go that long, but it wasn't because I didn't want to have a relationship. It's just my energies were on raising my girls. And I'm so glad I did it that way. But everybody needs the time to heal, to mourn, because it's a living death. It's
really
a death
is.
of everything that you knew. And you have to give yourself time to forgive, and all these things that you feel, you just need to work through them. So we are going to be talking.
My final thing that I want to say that I remember you telling me was, and this was a really hard thing for me to hold and to go, okay, is that not all relationships are meant to be forever. Not every marriage is meant to be forever, and not every relationship that you're in is meant to be forever. And I just thought, come hell or high water, this is meant to be forever. And letting that idea go has been so freeing. Even in my relationship now, I think it could end tomorrow. There's no guarantees that this relationship is going to be the relationship I'm in forever. And so you just appreciate it and love what you have today, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And just being able to sit with that and hold it and not feel bad because I failed, because it failed is what we think, that was just one iteration. That was just one chapter. And I grew and learned so much. And even Chad sent a message a couple weeks ago, and he said, I'm really proud of you. You've grown in ways you could never have if you would have stayed with me. And I feel the same way about him. And I think that is such the being able to look back in the story you're telling yourself now is that was a beautiful chapter. I wouldn't change one thing about it. And there was a lot of pain and a lot of heartache, but also both of us are in really great places today. And when we can go through those hard things and we can say there's value in this experience, I'm going to learn something, we're going to be better for it, we're going to choose the high road, then things seem to kind of work out a little bit better. So I was just grateful for that experience and that advice from you.
And thank you. And you're there for your kids, and everybody can have a happy, next part of their lives, being loving and not having to put the kids in the middle and choose, or to be a part of any of that. It's just like you said, all about to have flow. You have to have love. So I want to thank you for being so vulnerable, Eva, and sharing your heart. I love that about you.
I love you.
That was just a great conversation. Anyway, settolove.com is where you can find us. You can also email us or text us a question or give us some ideas that you would like for a future show. That's at settolovepodcast@gmail.com. You'll find us here every morning, 8:30 a.m. You guys hit the bell, okay?
Subscribe, share. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.